Hi everyone,
Hi,
I'm Sil,
I'm Akam,
and welcome to Religion.
where we get real with religion.
Yay! Yay! So today is our third episode, and we are going to be talking about relationships and religion and faith and how all of those interact.
Yeah,
Really excited for this one.
I am so excited for this one as well for a lot of reasons. Ignore this. Just just the fact that we kind of discount that part of our relationship, like we don't take religion into account a lot of times, even when two people are religious.
Yeah,
So I think it's honestly such a great way to bond.
it really is, in
Yeah.
my opinion. And the thing is, like, I feel like if you are in a committed relationship with someone, religion is like an important topic to touch on because
Yeah.
if you want your relationship to go somewhere, like marriage, for example, like, are you guys gonna get married in a church or this or this or this? And like, family wise, if you guys are close to your family, like, religion can and still has a lot of impact in like a lot of societies where, like, you do have to talk about that shit. If you want children, how are you gonna raise your children? Are they gonna like be raised religiously or not? Like, religion definitely has a big impact in like
Yeah.
shaping relationships.
And I think it doesn't necessarily have to be a conflict, right? Like
Exactly.
I said in my first episode, I wouldn't consider myself an interfaith baby, but my dad's Sikh and he was an atheist all his life, and my mom's Hindu, and I was like, I don't think that conversation even ever came up in our house, like how I'm raised. But I think it's just the fact that I think it's also the fact that both the religions are very closely tied to each other. That never came out. But if this was, say, a Christian and a Hindu, or a Christian and a Muslim, or a Muslim and a Hindu, that would be an interesting conversation.
Exactly.
That would be a necessary conversation.
It is. It really would
because
be.
it can cause a lot of issues later in your relationships.
It can.
Yeah.
It can. But I feel like the one thing, so first of all, like, religion can have like a big impact. It doesn't have to, but if you are someone who's like religion oriented, then it will have an impact on your relationship, like anyway. And it's important to like have those conversations or like be on the same page.
Yeah.
And then I think it's also,
I think it boils down to just respecting each other's religion.
yes,
No matter what it is, and then also respecting it and embracing it.
embracing your differences, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you're both religious, irrespective of which religions you are, it can be, like I said, can be great source of bonding, because at the end of the day, you believe in this entity, and there can be a lot of very interesting conversations about that, where you can get to know a lot about each other. There can be, you can go to religious places together, which is again a great source of bonding.
It is. You can learn together as well,
Yeah.
which I really like. Is like religion
we did
is
that
so.
with each other.
We did.
Yeah,
we did. But like,
we're not dating, but we
but
did that.
I feel like relationships can be anything at this
Yeah.
point. I feel like even in friendships, like
They are
you
relationships.
exactly, like, you can learn so much. Even if you're from the same religion, you can learn stuff that like you were never taught, but like that person was taught, and then you just learn more about your own religion as well, which is just so beautiful in
And
my
you
opinion.
pick up the good things about the other person.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
feel like if you are religious, religion is also such like a guideline in like your relationships. And it's also like, as someone who, like, I don't know where I'm situated, but like if I do end up like dating someone who's religious, and it's just this idea of like, it is such a like sweet way to show love, like, like with you guys is like touching the feet and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's like, it is an act of worship, and like doing that to someone you love just feels so intimate in a way. I don't know,
It does something to you.
Exactly. It really does. Like, at the end of the day, it's just, it brings you closer on a like such a vast
spiritual
level. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think religion itself lays out a really important foundation for how your relationship should be. And a lot of those guidelines, like she said, are extremely important, even if you're not religious. I mean, for example, the Bible basically lays out kind of a list in different places, of course, throughout the book. It says, and basically you list on the kind of men you should avoid, being like a woman of God. And I pulled out this list. I remember we were discussing this.
We were.
And I totally agree with everything, even though I'm not Christian. I really appreciate it. So, a man who is close a man who is close friends with bad company, negative influences.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
no, that's just even like exactly. Even if you're not religious, that's just an automatic red
yeah,
flag. Like
yeah,
dating someone and like all of their friends are bad, but like oh he's not like them or they're not like them. She's not like whatever. Always lie. Why keep that sort of company? You know, if you're not like them on
yeah,
some level.
yeah, exactly. And even though you can separate yourself individually, but if you're, if you're attracted to to bad company, that says something about you, you know.
Yeah.
The kind of people you hang out with do shape the way you are. it it reveals the way you are as well. The other is a man that justifies his own sin, gaslighting, you know.
Gaslight, gatekeep, not girl boss.
Yeah, not fun. A man who is not faithful to you, really, I don't even know. I don't even
I
think
feel like
it's
that's just
self. Yeah,
obvious.
yeah. A man who is selfish and self-centered, so everything's about you.
I hate people like
Narcissism.
that.
Yeah. A man who does not have a prayer life. I think for religious people, I think that's certainly something. Like for me, I
But I
wouldn't.
feel like you can also very easily like translate that into like for non-religious people or like
Introspection.
prayer life it's really it is at the end of the day just this idea of like sitting down and like thinking about something other than yourself in your life.
Introspecting
Exactly,
yourself,
it
your
is
actions.
exactly it is introspecting on yourself, your actions. Maybe like prayer life can also be very like being like good to other people and like doing stuff that's like sunnah and everything. Like it doesn't have to be like prayer necessarily. It's
Yeah.
just this idea of like doing good.
Yeah,
In my opinion.
like a lot, like if you, for example, you go to a gurdwara, right? You do seva. You don't have to be religious to do seva, but
Yeah, I
that
mean
is
the first time I went and
yeah.
stuff. Oh, that was so nice.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't have to be religious to do seva, but it's a way of prayer. Like in our first episode, how we discussed just the background noise of her having snacks in the middle of her discussion. But yeah, no. We discussed in our first episode how
A lot of good actions.
a lot
can
of good
be,
actions are prayer, are in a way just praying to God. And I think that is important. Like it doesn't, like you said, doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, I'm sitting down and I have my beads ready and I'm going to start praying. I think it's more about, are you living the values in your everyday life of what your religion really teaches you? Are you honest? Are you committed? Are you nice to other people? You know, just a lot more. And then a man who does not take responsibility and provide for his family, immediate red flag. Someone who's, a lot of people when they go abroad, they're like, we just want to settle here, we don't want to go back. And I feel like I understand that point of view, but also, what do you want to do with your family then? Like, do you want to bring them? How are you planning to take care of them? I feel like it's a huge thing for me. Like, you can't just run away from the people who raised you.
Like exactly. It's just this idea
And
that
you
like
can run away, like, but the point is, should you?
exactly like if it's just this idea of like oh well, if you have a valid reason to like run away, of course, cut off contact. That's not what we're saying. But if it's like
You're just being ungrateful.
exactly, if it's like me, if I just like decided one day to like up and like end contact with my mom, that would be so messed up. Because yes, we've had our disagreements here and there, but like she has done so much for me, and I plan like I've told her this like so much. I mean, as a joke, but like I mean it. When I am an adult and I am like financially capable, I'm gonna do so much for her because like
I feel like
It is.
that's what drives you every single day. Like to get out of bed and to do
Exactly.
that. I want to give that life back to my family.
exactly.
I want to make them proud after
Yes.
all that they've done.
And even if it's not like your biological family,
yeah,
they're most of the time you have someone in your life that you consider family, and if you don't treat them with like respect and appreciation, and you don't give back the way they give to you, then like what are you doing? That just shows
and it
that
doesn't.
you don't have any respect
Yeah, and it
for
doesn't
others.
always about them giving you something. Like, for example, when I think about what drives me, what's my purpose. One, definitely I want to make my family proud. I want to make my parents proud. I want to give back. I want them to have the kind of luxurious life that they gave me. But then also I want to take care of all the animals that I have, and they're family to me. So I feel like if I meet a guy who's like I don't care about my family. I'm just like,
Red flag.
immediately.
Red flag. No, I do have to warn though. If they care too much to the point where like they don't appreciate like mama's boys. I hate mama's boys in the nicest way possible. But like, no.
Yeah, like we've had the example of just really doing the most immoral things because your family tells you to, because you can't stand up for yourself. And we've had these examples throughout history, throughout mythology, where I remember we spoke about this. I don't think on the episode, but we spoke in Mahabharata that when he wed Draupadi and came home and he said, "Look, mom, what I brought you," and she said, "Whatever it is, divide it amongst the five of you." And they just divided his wife amongst the five of them because
Right.
they can't say no to their mom.
Which is like, respect your mom good, but like also
That's too much.
that's a full on human being. Like,
Hmm.
find the limit. So yeah, care for your family, but also like be your own person.
Yeah. I don't think both of them are mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You can entirely be your own person and care for your family. There are a lot of things my family and I disagree on. There are a lot of things I get mad about. I have a very short temper sometimes, and I get into arguments about. But I think that's just the law side of me.
And it's just family at this point.
Yeah,
Like
you
I'm
do
the
that.
same.
That's what family is.
You argue with family.
That doesn't, and I'm still my own person. Like, I feel like I would not change the way I think. For the simplest example, religion, it came to me when it had to. Okay, like I believe that it was all planned in the way it happened. My mom really tried for me as a child to be a little bit more religious, to be a little bit more, and my dad on the other hand tried for me to be more scientific. And I think I took the best of both worlds, and I'm my own person now. And that's how you are. Doesn't mean I care for any less for them. Doesn't mean I disrespected them just because I disagree. You know, a man who has no patience or self control.
Yeah.
Again, I don't even think we need to.
We don't. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I think.
Yeah, patience is key in everything.
Patience is a virtue, and I say this as one of the most impatient people on the planet. Patience is a virtue.
Yeah, it is. It is. You need, especially in bad times, because you need to be able to, live through them and be patient and have faith that they're going to end at some point, and that's for as a couple as well. If the second you have bad times, you get up and leave, well, that says a lot about you, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It is though. Like I'm gonna use my parents, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, their situation is complicated, but like there were times like when I remember when I was like 4, where they almost did get a divorce. Like it was bad. They like fought and stuff, but they had this drive to like make it work.
Yeah.
They
And
worked
we're
on
not
their
saying
relationship.
make it work in the face of like domestic abuse or
No,
something.
no. Oh God, no.
We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is make it work when you can't just make all these promises and be like, well, I've just lost interest.
Yeah.
That's when those
Exactly.
things you have to make work.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like I
Because you
said,
can't be 100%. Oh my God, so much in love with you all the time. It's not gonna be like that.
No, that's not realistic. That is not, like I said, like with my parents, they had their issues, but like they worked through them. And if I feel like even if it ends badly or whatever, like even if it doesn't end the way you want it to, if you've truly tried, then like that's okay. Because like my parents now, it's fizzling out again, but they tried for like, so I was 4 at that point. They tried for 14 years. And it did bring something. Like, my sister was born because they tried. It brings you good. Even if at the end of the day, like, you're not where you thought you'd be. Trying and, like, having that patience and being, like, thorough in what you do in a couple can bring so much.
Yeah, and I know this is not religious entirely, but in one of her interviews, Michelle Obama says that it takes a huge toll on your marriage to be in public office, like he was, and she says that if out of 30 years of marriage, I can look back and say I've had 20 great years, I think that's good, and I think that is what you should aim for. You can't have all 30 perfect years. Then a man who loves to look at women lustfully, again.
Yeah,
I
it's the
really
same
don't
as like
think-
faithful. Like if someone is just gonna be looking around and like not seeing what's right in front
And
of them.
I think we've touched on this, is the fact that just the thought of it is enough, to taint your relationship in a way. Just thinking lustfully is enough.
Yeah, I feel like it really can be, because
Yeah.
I mean, some people can just go and be like, oh, well, she, like, if you're, like, whether you have, like, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever, if you have a partner, and then they see someone walking down the street and like, well, oh, well, they're good looking. Oh, they're very good looking. Like, I could be attracted to them, and that's it. Like, you know what, that's fine, whatever, I don't care. But if it goes to the point where they start obsessing over it, and then they, like, pull away from you because they are thinking about other people, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you trying
Yeah.
to, like, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't,
And
it
you
doesn't
you you actually
work.
kind of end up hurting the person, you know, your the person to such an extent that they break down. And in Sikhism, there's a quote that says, beware of breaking hearts, because you might end up breaking a heart that Guru Nanak loves. And I think that's something you should keep in mind, that once you are in a relationship, it is your duty to protect each other's feelings.
It is, it
um,
really, really is, like,
Even if you have to change yourself a little bit for that,
it
do it.
I swear, like,
It's not the
and
biggest
obviously we're
deal.
not saying, like, change your whole personality,
Yeah.
but, like, there
Change
are
small habits.
exactly, like, there are small habits that, like, you will need to change. Like, if you're in it for the long haul, like, if at some point you want to move in with someone, you need to get used to the idea of, like, maybe, like, yeah, sharing a bed, sharing stuff here and there. Like, if you're not a big of a sharer, if you usually love to eat, like, this one food but they're allergic, then, like, get used to, like, eating it less, or putting it in, like, a separate container so there's no cross contamination, for example. Or, like, if they can't stand the smell of, I don't know, just, like, there are things that you will need to change, in, like, small habits, and, like, maybe the way you speak
And
sometimes, and,
religion
like,
tells you to change these.
mhm.
For example, um in so many contexts, you have to do that, to protect your partner's heart, to protect your relationship, and to make it work. And all these three things are pillars for compatibility, are pillars to have, just like a friend holding your hand for this journey you're on, and that um companionship is important.
It really,
And I'm
really
not saying it's
is.
important to the extent that, oh my god, if you're not married or you're not dating someone, it's the end of the world. No, it isn't. But if you do have that opportunity, don't lose it.
Oh,
I think
100%.
that's what I'm trying to say as well.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people
And
now
it
like to
brings out
think
a soft side of
it
you.
does,
It
it
really,
does.
and it did bring out the soft side of a lot of religious people, a lot of
Yeah.
gods. I saw this really beautiful thing that I absolutely had to mention.
Mm-hmm.
When so Imam Ali, right?
Mm-hmm.
He carried like a 900 kg door during the month of Ramadan, during a war. And when his wife Fatima died, and this made me cry at the time when she died.
Mm-hmm.
He said, help me carry her.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where he couldn't even carry her, even though he carried that 900 kg door, which just says so much, that it brings out the vulnerable side in you.
It does.
And
it really
he
does.
sat at her grave and said, my grief knows no bounds, and my nights will remain sleepless till Allah chooses for me the house in which you are now residing. And we've lost touch with our emotions like that.
We have.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, the thing is, a lot of people nowadays, I feel like they get attracted to someone, and then they start dating, blah blah blah, and then they expect it to, like, click like that, kind of. And in my opinion, and, like, this is one of the big quotes. Like, I've told this to literally everyone who's ever come to me with a relationship advice. I think I might have told you that at some point. Love is not always enough. You can
Yeah.
love someone, but if you don't work for it, if you don't work on, like, opening up and giving your, and, like, showing that you have those, like, vulnerable emotions, and, like, being vulnerable is not just something that comes like this once you love someone. No, it's hard work. It is putting down barriers. It is, like, deeply trusting someone, and
It's
not
a leap of faith.
it is
That's
a
why it's
leap of
called a
faith.
leap of faith.
It
because
it really is.
Yeah.
And people don't, I feel like, I mean, some people are just traumatized, to be fair. I can give you that. But some people just expect that to come easy, when no, it's not supposed to be easy. it is a leap. Like, you have to jump, you know? So
Yeah.
if you're just there and expecting someone to have like built a bridge for you, no, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like this whole idea. That's why that's just me being a cynical, to be fair, but that's why I'm not that much into the whole idea of like soulmate. Some people might be more compatible than others, but every single relationship needs work.
Yeah. No, even if you're a soulmate, it needs work.
Yeah, no, but I mean, some people are just like soulmates. Like, you look at each other in the eyes once, and like it is perfect. Like, no,
No,
like
that
even
never
if you're like
happens.
made for each other, you need to work for it. It's not just this idea of like, oh, there we go, I
Yeah.
had to do nothing.
Yeah, no, it is like a puzzle that you have to put together piece by piece.
I
It
love
takes
puzzles.
yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
I got
well,
distracted, but
it takes
puzzles are great.
effort, but it ends up in this beautiful thing.
Yeah,
And I think what's more important than love in any relationship is commitment. Is because it's easy to give up on the it's easy to have moments when you don't love the other person. It's easy to have moments when it's easier to hate the other person, to not be attracted to them, but you still have to be
Like-
say know in your mind that okay, this is gonna pass, and I've given my commitment, you know.
yeah,
And just continuing that thread of being vulnerable, right? I talked about Imam Ali, and similarly in Hinduism, when Lord Shiv's first wife Sati um, died, he carried her in his arms throughout the universe, crying because he couldn't fathom this loss. And then Lord Brahma had to say that, if we don't have a female counterpart to him, he's gonna lose it and the world is gonna stop. Because he needed that male and female energy in the universe to continue the generations. So the world is gonna come to a stagnant stop and everything's gonna stop. So he went to Shakti, which is the female energy, which Sati was, but now only the energy was left, of course. And she took a rebirth as Parvati, and they, gods and goddesses had very long lives, but even in their long lives, do you want to guess how many births she had to take to get him, and that she willingly took?
I mean, I know because
You just saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. She's reading my notes, guys.
They're right there, I
107. 107 rebirths, and we're out here where we can't wait 2 hours for a text back. I mean, how did we reach this point?
I swear, and it's also the thing of like, there's so much effort to be put into like loving someone, but also like, you need to like love the person and like in a way worship the person, which is like
Yeah,
this one
we
thing.
talked about
Yeah,
this.
we
We talked about this.
shout out to Kate, by the way, because I was talking to Kate about it
Yeah.
yesterday. But like the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, his wife, when she would like drink out of a cup, he would like take the cup and drink from the exact place where her lips touched. When they ate, like she would like he was like, it's literally like a verse that says like, just like, the idea is like sharing food at a table is not enough. Like, share the same plate, literally just be like one. So like, for example, if she would like eat a piece of meat, like she would like take it and like eat, he'd like take the piece and eat like the
same
bite
place,
like the
yeah.
bite right where she ate. Like, can you imagine
Yeah,
yearning
it's
for someone
worship
so
much.
much that like you need to be like, even if they're right next to you, everything that they come in contact with, you just need to be in contact with. And
Yeah,
coming from the prophet, peace
I think we
and
were
blessings be
again
upon
we
him,
were
like
talking
someone
about this.
so high seen.
Yeah,
like,
we were talking about this with the song that I played that night, which translates, the lyrics are "Mera yaar hai Rab varka,"
oh yeah,
which translates to that my lover is like God to me, and I think you have to let yourself go. It truly isn't leap of faith if that's not how you feel about your partner.
It really. Ooh, talking of songs, you brought it up. This one song, I thought I wanted to bring it up. This is just me being a Hosier nerd, to be fair. But the song Francesca by Hosier, that song is literally about this like it was like in the Middle Ages or like 1600s in Italy. This woman who like they both fell in love. Like, it's like a story in Dante's Inferno, whole thing. they fell in love, and then they went to hell because like a whole story, and they were basically like trapped in this like endless like storm, and like it's the two of them, and they're just like trapped in this endless storm, and the lyrics of the song literally go um like it basically like if someone had told me like all that everything that happened would have brought me here, like literally in hell, in like an endless storm,
I
I would
would
have done.
still done
I
that.
still would have done it. I still would have done it, and like that song gets me. To be fair, I saw it performed
And
live, and I was like,
not just that, and not just loving them like God. I think love itself as an emotion is a way to God,
it
and that is said
is,
in so many religions.
it
I have a
is.
couple of them written down here as well. In in John 4:8, it's written, "One that does not love does not know me, because I am love," which I think, and we have exactly the same emotion in Sikhism, that those who have loved are those that have found God. And very fortunate are those, O Nanak, whose minds are filled with this love, which is, you know, it love is God.
It,
God is love. It's the
yeah.
same thing. And even there's a song in Hindi called Maula Mere Maula, where he's literally singing to God, to Allah, and he says, that God has come to me and opened up to me about a secret that he has, is that his favorite people on earth are the people that are in love, which I think
That is so beautiful.
yeah, it is such a beautiful
Yeah,
emotion.
but I think that also shows that like there is a reason that even like ancient civilizations, they literally had a god of like goddess of love.
Love, yeah.
Like ancient Greece, ancient Rome. To be fair, they're basically the same because they ripped off each other. But like ancient Egypt, you also have like
Hinduism.
like every ancient religion that you look into, like even ancient Mesopotamia, they all have like a god or goddess or some kind of entity that just is love, or like is concerned with love, because love is such an inherent part of like human nature. What would we do without it?
Yeah. And the thing is, we, again, like a lot of religions lay out sins, right? Hinduism, Sikhism, Christianity. I'm sure, I don't know about Islam, but I'm
Yeah,
assuming it does have a list of sins.
yeah, we do have
Yeah.
like some no-goes.
Yeah, and almost all of them have lust, okay? And I just want to say, we have somehow managed to confuse the two, which I don't even want to go into the discussion of whether lust should be a sin or not. Whatever that, I think that's a completely personal discretion. But I do want to say that it that I think confusing them, or even um or even having one and claiming to have the other, is problematic, because one is literally described as the path to God and the other is a sin. And I think if we are with someone for the purposes of, well, lust, and we do make them believe that, well, we're in love with them, that is a sin in itself.
No, it is. It really is. Especially because, like, if you want to go out and lust, like, knock yourself out, whatever. But just don't. Exactly. That's the thing of like love is so much deeper, and like don't. I feel bad for people who like confuse both like within themselves, because it's like if you all you have is lust, and then you're like, oh well, like I know love and whatever, and then you just never have that like deep
Emotional
deep
connection.
emotional connection. And like love doesn't even have to be like, it doesn't have to be romantic love, like platonic love. Like there are gonna be people that like you love so much it makes you sob, and like if you don't have that in your life and you don't like look for it, even like in your if you're like a romantic whatever, you don't want like romantic love, knock yourself out. But find people that you do love in other ways, your friends, your family.
It
Like
is
it is
it
so.
is literally the path to God, because it awakens something in you that you didn't even know existed. Like it awakens, like I said, the soft side of you, where we've seen in gods. Even in the Bible it says, let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself. So you love the other person, if not more than, at least as much as you love yourself. And we know, as human beings, we know scientifically that we are meant to self-preserve. We go into fight or flight because our body's main purpose is to save ourselves. when you truly love someone, you go into that fight or flight response. You go into that for that person as well. You know,
Yeah, no, you really do, to be fair. Like, it's
hurting them hurts you.
it does. It really, really does. Like, loving someone, it is like I'm gonna lie, we're here to be perfectly candid. Like, it is like dangerous because like you are putting yourself out there. You are exposing yourself to like a lot of pain, but you're also opening the door and having the chance for like so much goodness as well.
And you know, it's so perfect that you mentioned this because it literally directly ties to something I was just about to say. In the Guru Granth Sahib, it says, if you desire to play this game of love, then step onto my path with your head in your hand. And I think that is such an important thought, that is how much it hurts. Like, step onto my path with your head on your hand, but that's how much you need to be willing to give up, you know, to truly be able to love someone.
Exactly. It really is. And the thing that like pisses me off is that some people don't, they pretend that they do that, but then they don't. And you're just like, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if if you're
We're going on a little bit of a personal.
Anyway, so yeah, so I was saying that like if you're not ready for that, then like kind of like in the nice way, as in like
We have to beep this.
oh yeah, sorry. But like if you're not ready to take that path, like take another path, veer off, do your own thing, but like don't pull people down with you.
Yeah, no. And if you before taking that leap of faith, you need to be 100% sure, right? Because
Yeah,
there's
you do.
there's no coming back.
No, I swear
Because you're
you
taking
do.
someone else with you, and it actually if you think about the concept of like leaving someone for your own reasons, you know, not has nothing to do with the other person. It blows my mind that you can just walk into someone's room and be like, "Hey, it's over," and walk out, and they have no say in it. They just have to accept your decision.
Yeah, no,
Like-
that type of thing. Like, where was your mind? Especially like if no, to be fair, no, really. Especially if you don't give an explanation and you're really like, hey, like I'm done. Bye. That is just like, do you not see? Do you not care on like
Again,
what that says about you as a
Beware
person
of
as well?
hurting hearts because you might hurt one loved by Guru Nanak, and
No,
you
really.
don't want to get into that. I'm telling you right now, don't
That is so
risk.
true. But honestly, and it's just like, do you not like this is as someone like if you are someone who like says that like you're big on like caring about other people and yada yada yada, like think truly about your actions
Yeah.
and how they impact you, especially, and I feel like especially if you are like religious, because I was
Yeah.
saying, especially if you are religious in like in a practicing way, and you're like, well, I like no matter which religion, like, oh, well, I'm Christian, and I'm like, love thy neighbor, whatever, and then like the people close to you will just hurt them, like,
Yeah.
where is the sense in that? If you're like Muslim, and there is all of that love, and you just like don't care. For example, the funniest thing to me always, and I say there was so much love to my community, Muslim men during Ramadan. Funniest shit ever. No, because they will say everything. The moment Ramadan hits, not even looking at you, it's like, oh, I can't. Today, this month, like Allah's month. Yeah, you're not supposed to do haram shit. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to like still show love and appreciation for people in like platonic ways. And I think that goes back to the whole like love versus lust thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah.
lust is
Like,
forbidden
how
during
do you
Ramadan.
confuse them?
Exactly.
Like, I fundamentally don't get it. Like, if during Ramadan your girlfriend is on her period, are you not gonna get her flowers? Are you not gonna get her chocolates because, well, it's haram? How?
Exactly. It's really not. It's the thing. Like, if it's lust, yes, it's haram. Stay away. But if it's just like showing love, showing appreciation, like I know some Muslim men who literally not touch women the whole month, and I'm like, girly pop. Imagine your girlfriend is just like having a bad day, needs a hug or something,
Your
and you
wife's having a bad day. What about that?
and you'll just be like, sorry, Ramadan, like haram, whatever.
And also,
What is
I
wrong with
just
you?
want you to know that even again, it's back. I just want you to know that if it is truly haram, then you are genuinely forbidden from doing haram all year round. You're not going to become this amazing person by not looking at the women if you're looking at them lustfully the rest of the year.
That's what I'm saying.
Like-
That is the thing. Like,
Why? How are we misinterpreting everything we're being told?
that is the thing. Like, so much of religion, like,
We were talking about, sacrificing stuff and, giving up our, basically being one with that person. And I do want to tell like a small story.
ooh.
So Radha Krishan, okay, like I think I brought them up in our last episode as well. And when he was leaving for Mahabharat, there was they had this moment of goodbye, and they had two very important moments that are just like signify what love is for you. First is he gave her his flute, said that, just play it whenever you miss me and I'll just show up. Okay, because he was God. And she said, well, then it's never gonna get played. And he says, why? And she says, because you're always on my mind. There's no opportunity to miss you. Which I think, what a cute thing to say. The other is when he was leaving, she said, why can't you marry me before you go? So at least I'm in the community. At least I'm waiting for you as your wife. And he says, and he doesn't turn around. And then she says, what is me asking you for marriage too much? Like, we've been together, whatever. We are seen as this like couple, like God, why can't we just get married? And he still didn't turn around. And then eventually she got married and he turned around and he had become her. And he said, we are one person. How do you expect me to marry myself? Which is like such a beautiful thought, that you are literally one,
Yeah.
And I don't think marriage as such makes it, validates it.
Yeah.
If you are with your significant other, and you should be this one entity irrespective of what kind of relationship you're in.
Yeah, no, that is so true. Like, my aunt and uncle have been together for, like, to be fair, I don't know how long they've been together, but like they have 2 children. Like, one's like, how old is she? I'm gonna like guesstimate and go with 12. I know she's like 12, 13, something like one of them is 12, 13, the other one is like 10, 9. But like they've been together like for a while before they had their children. They have children. They have a house now. Like, before that they had an apartment together. They've built all of their life together. They are close. Like, their families interact and stuff. Like, they've gone through so much together. They are like an entity. They're not married. They never like actually got married, first of all, because they didn't have the time. And like, when you don't, it doesn't make it official. It doesn't. If you want to do it because like you want to have this, like, I know I just want a wedding for like the big party, to be fair. I just want to like have a big party and have this like special moment of like connecting with someone, and like all my friends and family to be there to support me. Like, if you want to be on the down low and you're just like the two of us and stuff, it's fine. Like, you don't, I feel like that's a little point that I want to bring up, but like, you don't, I think it's the same thing as worship, where I think that like relationships are like worship. And I said this in the first episode, I think you don't always need to do the big things. You can do the small things regularly, and they mean so much more. Like, I know there's a moment where like I love chocolate. I like literally in love with chocolate. I could be having like the worst day ever, and I don't want like a big like, oh, do you want to go out to the restaurant, whatever. If you literally show up, give me a bar of chocolate, and I'm like, do you want to rewatch 10 Things I Hate About You for the 100th time? I'd be like, yeah. This is like the best thing in the world.
And you brought a marriage, which I think I do want to touch on a little bit, because that is, the most common kind of romantic relationship.
Yeah.
In which you're serious. So, in the Bible it says that 3 strings are not easily broken. So like 3 layers are not easily broken,
I know
right?
that. Yeah.
And so beautiful that someone explained that people keep misinterpreting this, but actually the truth is, it's you, your significant other, and Jesus. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to know, that when you involve God in your relationship, you make promises not just to your significant other, you're making promises to them in the presence of God, which is a lot. In Sikhism, for example, when you get married, the whole Anand Karaj ceremony is about you sitting there, connecting, basically saying that I'm giving our lives, dedicating our lives together to each other and to Maharaj, to you, you know. And I think that is such an important
It is such an important part. Like, I mean, for us, I don't know if this is a religious thing or just an African, like West African thing, but for us, like when you're getting married, especially like the religious marriage, it's not just, most of the time, to be fair, you don't even have to, like my parents, they weren't even there for their religious marriage, because it was not just like, yes, it was the two of them as one, but it was always like the fact that they were bringing two whole families together before God. So like my grandparents stuff had like a big party, everyone ate. My mom could not come because she had studies. I feel bad for her, but like it's just this idea that like, you know, you, because I also love the fact that you don't have to be there. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that, you know, it is also in a way to show that like, yes, we are getting married and like it's a thing, but at the same time, like I can feel that connection across the ocean.
Yeah.
But like our families can just come together and represent us in front of God, and that's
And
enough.
I think it's enough to just say that all marriage ceremonies except a civil marriage on the face of this planet are religious. I think that's enough to say that all marriages except like a civil ceremony, they're all religious, which means that God intended and religion intended for you to have that love, for you to
Yeah.
have that commitment and that companionship. And we and that's why it's even worse to just to hurt your partner, whether that's domestic abuse, whether it's emotional abuse, whether that's infidelity, whether there is just getting up and wanting to leave, especially when you're in a marriage, because you have involved God. I mean,
No, I should. Also, the three-strand thing. Did you just get that from Journey to Bethlehem?
no,
They literally did that in the film.
really,
Yeah, do you not remember when they get
No.
married and they dance and they have the like threes?
I don't. I
We need to
know.
rewatch this movie.
We
Actually,
should.
I'm in a mood.
Yeah, we can rewatch it.
Yay!
There's one more thing that I really wanted to mention, which was again coming back to Radha Krishnan, which is, you know, like the whole idea of sacrifice, and you know how much love you need to have for the other person. So once Krishna was gone, one day Radha was sitting and she was she was saying something. So everyone, all her friends, all the gopis just assumed that she's taking Krishn's name because obviously that would soothe her and everything. But then they went close and she was taking her own name. So everyone was like super confused. And then she went and asked like, why are you taking your own name? And she said, I know Krishna is always listening to me, and even though it would give me pleasure to take his name, but I know if he's listening to me, it'll give him pleasure to hear my name. And I'm like, can you imagine being in love with someone to that extent? And I feel like it's gotten, you know, people talk about everyone wants to just hook up and everyone just wants to have like situationships, or no one wants to commit and people are just jumping from one person to the other. And I think that has become a cycle in the sense that because no one is willing to give you that kind of commitment, what choice do you have?
Yeah.
A, and B, because all these options are available, people don't want to commit. I think it's become like a cycle, right?
It has. And I feel like there's also kind of this idea of like some people nowadays really look down on commitment, which like, I mean, like,
And they say you're too young to commit. Like, you're not.
no, honestly, I feel like
We
don't get married at 18.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you
No,
can't be in a
commitment is separate from marriage.
exactly.
Like,
a lot of people like mix up the two.
You don't have to get married at 18. Or don't get married all your life. I don't care. You can still be committed to someone. You know?
That's what I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's more about, you know, even when people say, I'm dating to marry, which is something I say very often, and you know, you hear just generally people say a lot, it doesn't mean that the next person I'm dating I'm going to marry. It means that I'm dating you. I'm not dating you purposelessly. I'm not dating to waste my time. I'm dating with an end goal in mind, and if something goes wrong along the way, something significant like you abuse me, or there's cheating, or just fundamentally we realize that we can't be together because we are not willing to sacrifice, you know, or there's no compatibility or whatever, that's different. But to just sit there and just be like, let's see where it goes, I don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, you really don't, girly pop. I do. I need to figure out my life first. But no, the one thing that I also really want to touch on, and that's as someone who like lived in West Africa for a few years, and like I remember that was a thing that like kind of shell shocked me, going from like Luxembourg to like very like nothing. I'm saying this in the nicest way as possible, with predominantly white country where people just did date around to like somewhere where like people do like date for long term and stuff. And they were like, yeah, no, I want to be committed and stuff. And I was like, yeah, 100%. But then they would get in like a serious committed relationship with someone they barely knew. And then it would always implode because they'd be like, oh, well, I can't back down now. Like, we are like in a relationship. And I'm like, you got in a relationship after like, it is like one of my friends, love her, such a sweetheart. She didn't know the guy's name until this one party. They get together, like commit a relationship at that same party, and then he starts being a bit of like mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, and she's like, well, I started this relationship to commit, so like I'm just gonna stay here.
That's
and I'm like,
what I'm saying.
Pop.
When there's a commitment, you're not just committing to the other person. You're obviously already committed to yourself, and you're committed to God. And if you are sitting in that relationship, enduring all this abuse, you are going against the commitment you've made to yourself and to God.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, it's not like staying in the relationship no matter what happens. It's staying in the relationship, trying to work things through. And by work things through, again, I like to reiterate, we mean things that can be worked through.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like some huge thing.
Right, and that's also my idea of like commit, in my opinion, and that's, to be fair, that's just my
Which
opinion.
is a societal issue as well. Like,
Yeah,
people are
true,
just like, just stay in marriages. It's
Right.
fine. Who cares?
No, right. No, exactly. But like in my opinion, and like I might be wrong, but this is like personally, I think that you can't be committed, like truly committed to someone you barely know, because then you're not committed to the person. You're committed to the idea of them, and that's unfair for them because then they have to live up to some expectation that's in your head, and that's unfair to you because then you're bound to be disappointed, or like you can't. In my opinion, commitment is love, and love, like I really like this quote. I don't know where it's from. It like, to be loved is to be known. How can you love someone if you know nothing about them? Like then it is just like attraction, which is a good basis. That's how you start, but it's not. It's not what's gonna make you feel good at the end of the day. Like when you're sad and you're laying in bed and you're like in a hoodie and you're like,
fades.
Exactly.
Attraction, and again, we talked about this in the last episode, where, uh, that it wasn't Sita and Ram's relationship wasn't between a prince and a princess. It was between two individuals, and that's why it worked.
Exactly.
Which is, you can't base a relationship on attraction because it can't work.
No, it's not gonna work. It's especially like we said, like a committed relationship where like there are moments where you're gonna feel down. You're gonna be in your hoodie. You're gonna be like, ugh.
You're gonna be sick.
Exactly. If you want, and if you're in a committed relationship, you need to be with someone who like you trust to see you in those like in those moments. And if you just got with someone like this on a whim,
because it sounds good.
Because it sounds good. If you just got with someone like this on a whim, and then one day you're really sick and you need someone to take care of you, who are you? Like you're not gonna call them because you're gonna be like, yeah, well, like he's my boyfriend and like we've been together for 2 years, but like he hasn't seen me like this for so. How have you been doing this for 2 years, girly pop? Then like what is happening? And then like
this is turning into a rant.
It is turning into a rant. Sorry, I tend to rant, but like I just respect yourself and respect others in a relationship. Again, and respect like the faith that you put into it.
The best way to just consolidate this conversation is to say that love is God and God is love, and you love like you would treat God,
yeah,
with
even
respect,
if you're not exactly
with with respect, with absolute commitment, with absolute willingness to give up on some things in order to make the other person happy, and just absolute acceptance.
Yeah.
You don't go into God, you don't pick up religious texts and be like, yeah, but I only liked certain qualities about my God and not the other. You can't do that.
Yeah, if you're like truly religious, you gotta get with it. But I feel like, and those guidelines that like she just gave, like you have to treat your like partner and like your relationship like you would treat God, and that's even if you are an atheist. Imagine you like then your relationship can be your religion in a way. Like,
yeah, in Urdu there's a word called ibadat, which is specifically used for devotion to God, basically being devoted. And I think when you start feeling that kind of devotion towards someone, that's love.
Yeah.
You need to be devoted to them like you're devoted to God.
Exactly. Even if you don't have God, then they're your God, basically. I feel like if we have like hardcore Christians on this, I'm gonna be like stoned for blasphemy. But you know what? I don't regret what I said it. Treat your lover like your God at this point. Like, anywho, we have been ranting, but I feel like we did a really good job with this episode. We're getting better at this.
We tried. We might have ranted a lot.
No, but it's okay. We're getting better at this, I feel. We are. Yay. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please share, like, subscribe, everything. We love seeing comments, honestly. I was looking at the comments of the last video and I was like, oh.
Please comment.
We love comments, honestly. Like, whatever your thoughts
even
are.
if they're mean, we accept it.
Yeah, constructive criticism. But yeah, no, honestly, just give us your thoughts and like, even like one word is enough at this point, please.
Emoji works. Because apparently, as a generation, we don't have patience, like we've already established. So if you don't have enough patience to type a word, just put up an emoji.
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you so much, and bye-bye. See you next week.